Hello and welcome to this very special Hangout on air. We're very I'm so excited, you can tell. We are very privileged to have the director and producer of the Monster University with us. My name is Stefan Keuchel. I have the honor and privilege to be your host and moderator today. And but more important, we have with us today, all the way from the United States, the director of the Monster University, Dan Scanlon, and also the producer of Monster University, Kori Rae. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
Fantastic to have you here. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you ever done a Hangout?
No.
No, first time.
Fantastic. So thanks for taking the time to do this today. So the special part about Hangouts, is that it's not only us talking to each other and me asking silly questions, but we have special guests with us today, and I would like to quickly introduce our guests today. Let's start with Stefan Kuhlmann from Radio Energy. Stefan, are you there? I guess he's not there yet. He will be there in a few seconds, so let's go over and talk to Viola Bayer. She is a student, actually an animation student, and she's very excited, as far as I can tell, to be able to ask you guys a couple of questions. Hello, Viola.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I'm a recent graduate. I just graduated from the Film Academy. I'm a graduate animation student. Hi.
Oh,
congratulations.
Hi.
Thank you.
Good to have you, thanks. We also have a couple of folks from Movie Pilot, so let's start with Leonie Basler.
Leonie is sick,
Oh,
so I'm alone here. I'm
That's
sorry.
good. No, not a problem at all. Mario Schattner, hi,
Yes.
welcome.
Hi.
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 You are a Monster Inc. fan? Or
Yes,
fan
I
of
am.
Klotzkowski?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
of course.
There he is.
Okay, perfect. And we have a very special guest with us as well. Irena, obviously, and she will be able to ask a couple of questions that we asked fans to submit before we even started the Hangout. So, hello, Irena. Irina, sorry for that.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to ask questions, actually. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we have a very special guest with us. It's not a Disney monster, but this little red guy over there. Hello.
All right.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, fantastic. So let's get right, to the questions. I will start with I was able to watch the movie last week, and I was really blown away. I'm a big fan of Monster Inc. when it came out 11 years ago. I can't believe it's that long. Why did it take so long to do a follow-up movie?
Well, it's actually 12, isn't it?
I know,
Is it even 12?
yeah.
It's even
2001.
longer. I don't know why it took so long. No, when Pete Docter finished the first film, Monsters Inc., he went on to other movies up, and we were busy making other films. But about 5 years ago, we started thinking about the characters of Mike and Sully and how much we loved that film, and we got together with Pete and John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton and myself, and we just started talking about other ideas. Is there another film there? We knew we wanted to do something that explored the relationship of these guys further, and that's when we decided that going back in time and seeing the moment that they met would be a great idea, and not to mention it would lead to crazy college monster fun.
Right.
And that was kind of the genesis of the idea.
That's fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit, and our viewers out there, a little bit what the story of Monster University is all about?
Yeah, Monsters University is the story of Mike and Sully. It takes place about, 10, 15 years roughly.
Before the first film.
Before the first film, and it's the story of how Mike and Sully met while attending Monsters University and learning to scare.
Okay. And so obviously our favorite characters, Klotzkowski and Sully, are back, so that's great. But I understand there's a few new monsters as well. How many monsters are there altogether?
Oh, there are so many. I think there's almost 500 characters in this film. But the primary groups, one in particular, are the Uzma Kappa, and that's the group that Mike and Sully join. It's the fraternity team that they join to compete in the scare games. And so the Uzma Kappa are made up of a few great new characters that Dan will describe.
They are scarers that couldn't quite make it as scarers, so they're sort of lovable, cute, non-scary monsters.
Yeah.
We have Terry and Terry, who are twin monsters joined around the neck or shoulder. We have Don Carlton, who is a mature student returning to college to learn to scare.
Right.
We have Squishy, who is a undeclared student. He's a ball of clay waiting to be molded, and quite literally, he's kind of a ball of clay. And then lastly, we have Art, who we don't know anything about Art. He's just a bizarre guy. He's the guy in college that you know nothing about, the strange character that has seemingly no background.
Just listening to you guys makes me want to watch the movie all over again. It's fantastic. So as we know, you have a couple of we ask fans to submit some questions, and I'd like to give it over to Irina now to start with a couple of questions right now. So Irina, it's all on you.
Thank you very much. And the first question go to Dan. Then, after working with the characters for such a long time, 12 years, you must have become emotionally attached to them. Which character is your favorite, actually?
It's a great question. It's true. We definitely get very attached to these characters. I love Don. He's the mature student in the Uzma Kappa fraternity. He's a very sweet, lovable guy. He looks like the dads of every friend of mine growing up. He's a sales guy. He has a big webbed mustache. And also I love that Don represents kind of the heart of the Uzma Kappa team. He's a guy who maybe gave up on himself a little early and is now giving it another shot. He represents the idea that it's never too late to give it another try and go for your dreams.
Okay, thank you. And next question again, then, where did the inspiration come from to make such great stories? And why do you think the film appeals both to adults and children?
Well, I think we try to make our films for everyone.
Right.
We make them for ourselves initially. We're our first audience, and we want to make a movie that we would want to go see. And again, I think the inspiration came from our own college experiences and our own experience arriving at college, thinking that we were the greatest, in my case, artist ever, because my pictures were up on my mom's refrigerator. But then when I got to college, I realized that wasn't the case. There were a lot of very talented people there, and it can be a scary time. Actually, whether you went to college or not, being 18 or 19 is a time when you realize that life is going to be a little harder than you thought. And I think that was the real theme behind this movie, and the thing that got us very excited about telling Mike and Sully's story.
So thank you very much. So I'd like to actually pass it over to Viola right now, because as you know, she's a student herself doing animations, and she has some burning questions she wants to ask. So Viola, it's all up to you.
Hi, first of all, I want to say congratulations. I love the movie. I saw it this morning. Really great movie. I was fascinated by the rendering, the lighting. It's outstanding. I haven't seen this before. And I'm very interested in the technical parts and the organizational stuff of the animation department, for example. How do you manage the reviews? Like, then, like, how often do you attend dailies? Do you have, like, do the supervisors of the departments do a pre-selection of the shots they show you, or do you attend every daily, or how does that work?
Yeah, Kori, how does that work? I don't know.
You're just there.
I'm just there. I just show up.
No, yeah, it absolutely happens every day, and usually twice a day. So there's usually, during the last year and a half of production, there are dailies in the morning and walkthroughs in the afternoon. And the artists are showing Dan their shots based on what stage they're in. They'll show early blocking very early on. Well, the first thing that happens actually is that Dan gives them what we call a shot briefing, and he tells them kind of what is needed for the shot, what's the point of the shot, what needs to happen with the action, and also the story. What emotion do you need to get across? And then they'll show first blocking, and then a couple of iterations after that, and then he's there to final the shot before it moves on to the next department.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk a little bit about the experience of dailies?
Yeah, and to answer your question, a lot of times the leads do look before me and give their notes, and luckily we have great leads in every department, especially the animation department as well. Yeah, and they give information to try to get the animators a little closer to what was talked about in the shot briefing. But it's a great experience because we get together in dailies with all the animators, and we look at the scene, and it's not just about me giving my thoughts. Other animators in the room are throwing out their thoughts as well, and helping each other get an idea across more clearly. It's very collaborative, and sometimes we'll all kind of decide to go down a little bit of a different road. Yeah. Once we see what's been done, we think, well, maybe this would be funnier this way, or more emotional that way. Right. It was a really great experience.
Awesome. How many intervals are there? Like, how many reviews, like an average, do you give?
Good question. I'm trying to think of what the average would be.
Right. On an animated, on just an animated shot, probably between 3 and 5, somewhere in there. Yeah, probably 3 to 5 reviews with the director per shot.
Awesome. Amazing, amazing. We'll come back to some of more of the technical questions in a little bit. And I would like to know, how did the story idea really evolve, and where did it come from?
Yeah, I think again, I think we all just kind of got together, a big group of us, people who had worked on the original film, and talked about this idea of going back in order to see Mike and Sully get to know each other. We knew the idea of college would be fun from an entertainment point of view, but then it was really talking about the story of Mike Wazowski in this film, him as the lead, that got us most excited, because as I mentioned earlier, Mike is a guy who, like so many of us, showed up at school and realized that maybe things weren't going to be as easy for him. His dream of becoming a scarer was going to be a hard one, and we know, because the film is a prequel, that things don't work out for Mike, not the way he thought, which was something that was very interesting about doing a prequel. Telling a story where we know the ending at the beginning of the movie. We know that things aren't going to work out for Mike, but what we learn in the movie is that Mike desperately wanted to be a scarer. And so the movie becomes very much about, well, how is this all going to go down? How is Mike going to feel about this when he doesn't get what he wants? Because again, so often, so many of us fall in love with one dream thinking that's the only way to be happy, and when it doesn't work out, we find a new dream, a better dream, a detour to something much more wonderful, and that was really what we wanted to tell with this film.
Thanks, very insightful. So Mario, you didn't have a chance to ask questions yet, so I'd like to pass it over to you.
So, hi guys. I saw your movie also, and it's very, very funny, and I like the art fraternity was so funny. And my question is, was it hard to get all the guys behind those monsters back from from Monsters Inc., like Billy Crystal, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, and was it hard to get them back, or was it easy?
No, luckily it was relatively easy. They really love these characters, all of them, and especially Billy Crystal. I think he totally relates and feels like he is Mike Wazowski. He's mentioned a couple of times that he thinks it's his favorite role that he's ever played. So it wasn't too difficult, luckily, to get them all back, and it was so wonderful to get back with John and Billy and record them for the roles. So it was good.
And did they work together, or did you record them alone for their monsters?
Right. Mostly together. We tried to get them together as much as we could.
With John and Billy.
Yeah, with John and Billy.
Yeah, they are so fun when they're together. Because again, they're friends. They make each other laugh. The energy just raises up in the room when those guys are together. We did the same thing with Sean Hayes and Dave Foley, who played Terry and Terry, the two-headed twins. We recorded them together as well, so that they could kind of improvise and step on each other's lines and make each other laugh, but they also gave each other line suggestions. It was really, really exciting to see both groups work
Yeah.
together.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
You already touched upon that really shortly, but it's a question I think a lot of people will have. So why did you decide to do a prequel instead of a sequel? You know, that's not a normal thing, you know. But
Yeah.
What made you decide?
I think it was, again, more about the. I don't think a prequel works for every story, but it worked.
Right.
I think we liked the idea of doing it for this story because we wanted to know how. We wanted you to know how the film was not going to end, but where it was headed at the beginning of the film, so that the tension of watching Mike, this character who really, really wants to be a scarer, knowing he's headed toward this disaster. They are tricky to do because you're dealing with predictability, so it changes a little bit of the way that you tell a story and the type of story that you tell. And also we just wanted to watch these characters change each other into who they became in the next film. They start off very different in this movie. Obviously they don't get along, but their personalities are very different from the first film.
Right.
And you get to sort of see how they change the other to become who they are in Monsters, Inc.
Okay, super. Are there any plans yet for maybe a sequel then?
No plan yet.
No plans yet.
We're still busy focusing on this one for a little
Obviously,
while longer,
of
so
course.
we'll
Of course.
no plans yet. No.
Cool. Irina, are there more questions from the fans out there?
Yeah, there are questions. And Kori, what's the secret to make a great 3D film?
You know, I think to make a great animated film, you need to have a really great collaborative team, and you need to have first you have to have a great idea. You have to tell a good story, and then you need to have a team of amazing artists to help bring that story to the screen.
Definitely, thank you. And please do the sequel. Make the next movie, please. And there is another question. Is it okay? Dan, the character of Sullivan had more than 2 million individually animated hairs on his body, and there were 35 million separately programmed doors as well. All this must have been an exceptionally complex technical challenge for your team. And could you please tell us what technological surprises should we expect in the new film? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the new film, I think one of the biggest technical challenges that we faced was the scope of it. It takes place on a university and has monsters of all different shapes and sizes.
Right.
Again, as we said, over 500 or so
Characters, and maybe even in one shot.
Yeah, so that was something we couldn't have done on the first film. We could never have had so many different types of monsters in one shot and in one place. That was the biggest challenge. But it was absolutely necessary for making a film that takes place on a university.
Right.
That and oh, hi, hello.
Oh.
That and backpacks are apparently hard. The simulation of a backpack on a furry creature with a T-shirt is very difficult. So stand and applaud when you see a backpack. They may not look difficult, but they are.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. I just think it's good time for more questions. So how about if Viola starts with another question?
Yeah, again, for the animation process, you know, I'm really into the animation. How did the animators prepare to animate those monsters? Like, what kind of reference videos did you give to them, or did they shoot their own reference videos, or did you plan a reference shoot in general, or something like that?
That's a great question. You know, with the classic characters, they watched a lot of Monsters, Inc. and talked a lot about what makes Sully feel like Sully, what makes Mike feel like Mike, but then on top of that they had to make them younger, and so they had to think about the way they moved, more spry and youthful and naive.
Yeah.
For some of the other characters, Dean Hardscrabble, the terrifying Dean who has this sort of centipede body, they had to really reference centipedes. We got a giant centipede at the studio that we rented, and they kept it in what looked like a potato salad container with tape on it. It was very dangerous. It was horrifying. But they watched the way it moved and really studied it. It was very difficult animating every little
All those legs. Yeah.
But then for particular shots, sometimes it depends on the animator. Some animators will shoot reference of themselves doing the action, which is hilarious if you get an opportunity to see this. It's always very embarrassing, and it's the shyest animator in the world sitting in front of a video camera and going like Sully. And I'm so impressed because they're all such great actors. Some are a little more, again, introverted than others, but boy, you get them in front of a camera in a private room, and they go for it, and it shows up in the final product.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So besides the fantastic animation, obviously the film is really unbelievable. I think you know, the voice is so super important because, you know, they really, you know, give life to the characters. How difficult is it to find, you know, the perfect voice for those characters?
Yeah, it's quite time consuming. I mean, the first thing that we do is you know, write for the character and write the personality of the character, and then we go ahead and design the character. And even build the character in the computer before we ever think about casting, because we really have to have a solid grasp on what this character needs to be for the film. And then we kind of blindly listen to clips from actors and actresses, and looking at the image of the character and listening to the clip of the actor, and seeing what fits, and really painstakingly making sure that the actor embodies that character and that it will be believable when that character is animated. So it's a time-consuming process, especially when you have as many characters as we had.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's really fun to find the specific thing that each character needs and to be able to find that voice.
I bet it is, and it must be even more difficult though, however, because so you do the film in English, you know, and then
right.
But then you go out into all these countries, and then you have to find new characters again. I heard that the national goalie of the German soccer national team actually has one of the roles. Well, I won't say much more about that, but you know, that must be even more difficult, you know, to go out then and do the international versions of the film.
Yeah, and it's nice with this movie, with returning characters. Like Ilya, who plays Mike. Here, is back to continue the role as well. And I've been so happy that so many of the original Mike and Sullys are back. And,
it's really fun.
But we're very lucky. We have a great group that make great choices based on finding actors locally who are really relevant for those characters. And we give sort of a basic idea of who these characters are. Again, it's similar to casting them originally. It's based on just you know, what these characters need to be, what kind of attitude or personality they need to have. And we've seen some lately of the original dubbed versions of the movie, and it's so exciting because even though I don't always understand the language, the reads are great. The energy is great. I directed the original lines, so I know, wow, you're hitting this just right.
Totally.
And then we'll hear the audience laugh in all the right spots. So it's
we know they get it right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Fantastic. Mario, do you have another question, maybe?
I would like to know if it was a big challenge, because nowadays college movies are more for adult people, and to get this one for the whole family, and not to make some jokes which are not really appropriated for them.
Yeah, we found early on in the development that as long as we had a sense of what John Lasseter called kind of what was raucous kind of nature of college. So, you know, monsters are hanging off things and smashing into stuff and eating garbage out of a garbage can. It felt wild without having to be specific.
Right.
That was a big part of getting that feel, that wild college feel.
Okay.
Do you have another question, Mario?
From all those characters you made, which one would you like to be?
Which one? What I like to be? Well, I'm super impressed with Dean Hardscrabble, and then on the flip side, I love art the New Age philosophy major. I love his crazy model and how crazy he can be animated. So that would just be fun. And he doesn't really ever have to put two thoughts together. He can be as non sequitur as he wants, and the more the better. So that would be great to be Art.
You want to be someone who never has to put two thoughts together.
That's right.
Okay. This is a more question to you, Kori. We talked about finding the perfect voice and for the characters. Finding the right director, is also probably one of the challenges. You were already producing Monster Inc. 11 years ago, 12 years ago. So,
Right.
so how did Dan come on as a director? Can you share some stories?
Yeah. Well, Dan came in. He actually started at Pixar the month that Monsters Inc. was released in the U.S. And and he went on to work first on Cars in the story department, and then also on Toy Story 3. And Dan's just an amazing storyteller. He's an amazing story artist. And I think that is one of the keys to being a great director, especially at Pixar, because it's really the most important thing. But Dan had also directed a live-action feature film while working on Cars, and over 6 years on the weekends, on his own time, he made his own film. And that to John and Pete and I, it was proof that this guy was going to direct films no matter what, that he wanted to direct, he had to make movies, and that he was going to do it no matter what. And that's a great quality that you want in a director, because it's a tall order, it's a tough job, and you want someone who has that kind of passion, who started making movies as a young kid and then went to school to learn to draw and just was going to make movies no matter what. And it's worked out great.
Oh.
How did that feel when you got the call, Dan?
It was great. As Kori said, I was a fan of the first film, and because I started right when, when I started right when Monsters Inc. came out, those characters have always meant a lot to me. And to know that I'd be working with Kori and the great team that she had really created to support the film and support me, I knew I was in really, really great hands, and I knew we'd have a lot of fun making this film, and I was also very excited about what the film was about, and about the fun college nature of it, and it just felt like a great opportunity to tell an original story with these characters.
I heard that for some of the research you did, you actually went to a lot of colleges and universities in the United States to take a closer look, about the architecture, about all these things. How was the research for the film?
Yeah, it was good. We did. We visited a number of schools in the United States, and because it had been a very long time since most of us had been to school, and so we had to go back to remind ourselves what it was like, and as well as do research and find out, and just kind of bring the artists and have them draw, the landscapes on different campuses, and really soak it all in. We definitely paid attention to the students as well, and not only being reminded of how young they were and are, but also the pressure that they're under, and the fact that this is an incredibly important time in anyone's life, whether you went to university or not. It's a time about self-discovery, and you can kind of feel the pressure of the kids walking around on the campus, and so that was helpful because we utilized that in the film, I think.
Mm-hmm. We also went to gross dormitories and fraternity houses, and soaked up that as well.
We had to do that.
Yes.
That was.
I hope you had some fun there. Before we give it to Viola for the next question, I'd like to also ask like a kind of technical question. I think in Monster Inc. It was one of the bigger challenges was to draw the fur actually of Sullivan Scully. So. Right. A lot of things have evolved during the last years. Technical, things are more easy. Or can we expect more hairy monsters then in the Monster University?
In this film? Yes,
sure.
that is the good news. We over the years we have figured out how to more easily simulate fur, and so we were able to have a lot more characters in this film that are fur, and different length fur, short fur, long fur. So it's
yeah. I mean, it was very difficult in the first film, and now we use it to cover our mistakes. When something looks wrong, we just put a bunch of fur on it. It's like digital duct tape.
Sounds great. So Viola, it's all yours.
Okay, I have a question for you two as filmmakers. Like, what was the personal goal you set yourself in doing this film, and what was the most important thing for you in making this film, like personally?
That is a good question. You know, I think, you know, personally, just to get through it alive was probably a big one. And to get everybody through it and get a good movie at the end, to bring out you know, the best abilities of everyone on the team in order to tell the story, I think is a big goal, to make sure that we knew that everyone would be doing great work, and we just wanted to make sure we had a story that you know, supported and justified.
The most important thing is, again, it sounds redundant, but is the story, and I think that's really what we focus on every day when we go to work, is making sure that we're telling a story that's entertaining, that's got heart, and that has a good theme, a theme that we believe in, and a theme that we think is slightly unique and that we want to share with the world. So that's really, it's kind of the steady thing that we keep track of and stay on top of every day.
Great. Well, can I ask another question?
Yes.
Awesome. What was the most fun thing in the production and the most challenging thing for you?
Well, the most challenging thing, speaking for both of us, was the story. The story in any movie, but especially a Pixar movie, is always tough. It's the thing we work on the longest, and we bang our heads against the wall about the most. And this was no exception. That was, without a doubt, the hardest, and it should be the hardest. It should be the thing that you really, really sweat.
Right. Right. And then I think one of the most fun things we did is within the team, we created our own scare games. And so to let off a little steam, when we were struggling with the movie, we would get the entire crew together and have tricycle races through the building, or play an incredibly competitive game of dodgeball.
Yeah.
And we would break up into teams, and the departments would compete against each other, and it was really, really fun, and got everybody kind of into the spirit of the scare games and of the school spirit, kind of. So it was fun.
That does sound like you did have a lot of fun. Time flies when you're having fun talking about fun, and actually we have only time for another round of one more round of questions. So I'd like to pass it over to Irina.
Thank you. Kori, do you think that this film can show how attractive or how fun universities can be to young people?
I hope so. Yeah.
Garbage and
yeah, I think so. That's scary. I think so. I think also, I mean, school is fun, but it's also pressure filled. And again, we were trying to depict that time in your life when you have to make certain choices. You have to, you know, you're deciding who your friends are that you're meeting for the first time, who you want to hang out with, what do you want to get involved in, and it can be pressure filled. And I think that's one of the things that when we first started out with the film, that when we sat around the story table, we could all kind of relate to and tell our own stories of insecurity. It's a time filled with, interestingly enough, a lot of fear, being out on your own for the first time, and just being faced with all of those decisions and figuring out how life works outside of your parents' home. So
yeah, that it's to show people that it's a time of change, and that change can be scary, but change can be fun.
Yeah,
and I think that I think hopefully people will walk away from the movie thinking that looks like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mario, do you have a final question for Dan and Kori?
My final question is, there's one giant monster in Monster University. We always get to see his legs, but nothing on top of it. How does he look like? Does he have a family? Because he's always alone walking on the campus. is there always a chance to get to see him?
You're talking about the one in Monsters University?
Yes.
Yes.
Number one, that is a girl.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We do see her face at one point. She catches a frisbee. She's playing with someone, so she does have friends. I don't know how tall that friend is. She might be
It's probably this
a
big.
very tiny person playing frisbee. I think there's probably a dorm somewhere just off screen that is very, very large. Although I do like to think that her roommate is very, very small. They never pair those things up quite well.
Yeah, exactly.
With your roommate. Yeah, she's having the time of her life. I don't know what her major is. City destroying would be my guess.
Building demolishing.
Building demolishing.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
And Viola, what is your final question?
Oh, like, is there one scene that's very dear to your heart in this film without spoiling it for anyone who hasn't seen it?
Oh, thank you for being the only person who's ever been sensitive to that. Yeah.
To spoilers?
Yeah. Yes, I will try not to spoil it. I will say that my favorite scene is the beginning of the movie because I think that it sets up Mike's love of scaring and how much scaring means to Mike, and in particular how much fitting into this world means to Mike, and proving that he too can do something special. I think that it's important for the whole movie that scene work, and so we went to great lengths to really make that scene play as well as it could, and it's definitely the one I like the most.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the film will actually start about a week from now here in Germany on June 20th, and I think a day later the film starts in the United States. Is there going to be a big release party?
In the United States there will be, yes, for sure. We're the night before. I think we're having a big bonfire. We're going to we're going to celebrate the Monster College.
Fantastic. And then we'll have a fun premiere.
That's right. Exactly.
And this was the 14th Pixar film, is that correct? And unbelievable if you think about this. I love all of them. You know, what is can you tell us a little bit about the future? You know, what can we expect after Monster University?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. The next film we're super psyched about. It comes out next summer, and it's called The Good Dinosaur, and it is the movie about a dinosaur family.
Yes, stop there.
He won't let me say any more about it because no. But it's really great. It's directed by Bob Peterson, who worked on Up and a bunch of our previous films, and then after that actually is another film by Pete Docter.
Yeah, Pete Docter, who
called Inside Out,
who did the original Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Up. And they're both very exciting, funny, beautiful films.
Yeah.
That is something to look forward to.
For sure.
Guys, I want to take the time to thank each and every one of you. Thanks for all the great questions that you guys delivered. Little Red Monster, you didn't ask a question, but you were great.
Yes.
And special thanks really from the bottom of my heart to Dan and Kori. This was the most monstrous hangout we've ever done, and very scary. And thank you very much. We cross our fingers for the film. I'm sure it'll be a blast for everybody who sees it, and good luck for it. And thanks for taking the time to do the hangout today.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, everybody. This was really fun.
Thanks for all the great questions.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.